Gary here. So today we're gonna do a little bit of a kettlebell flow. We're gonna mix together some of the kettlebell fundamental exercises with a couple of these squat flow or animal flow exercises. And I really like this idea, especially for multi-sport athletes or people just getting into mobility and stability training. This stuff's kind of everything. So we're gonna start right here, basically in the position that I'm in my prime squat. I'm a little bit on an incline right now, so it's gonna be a little bit different for me, but that's also part of the point. We wanna have different stimulus. Can I get really good at the idea of my elbows pushing out of my knees pushing into my elbows, and getting comfortable just sitting in a squat? We get so tight in our ankles, in our knees, and our hip flexors, and this might be uncomfortable. And you might have a little bit of weird spinal angles, like my angles aren't perfect right now. But can we learn to kind of internally rotate and move around in here? Again, I'm just shifting through a couple different positions, letting my hips and knees and everything stretch out. Good. From here, you're gonna crawl to all fours and just establish that quadruped position. Come back. Can you find your squat? Again, every time you get back, you get you a little more comfortable into your ankles, into your feet. When I crawl out, my shoulders are right over my wrists, my knees are right underneath my hips. Okay, here we can make it your own. You can play around, you can add those stanky legs in there. But again, we're just over-exaggerating some of these places that are really, really tight in multi-sport athletes. Ankles, knees, hips. Use these positions to kind of play around. From here, hang on to a forward fold and just kind of shimmy, shake it out. All right, there you go. That's our warm-up. That's gonna be a little bit of the flow we're gonna kind of build upon here. So from here, we're gonna work on grabbing our kettlebell, and we're gonna grab a nice wide base of support. And with this kettlebell, bring all your weight into your left hip, keeping the right edge of your right foot straight. You're gonna come all the way back up. This is called a Cossack squat. All that weight comes onto my right hip and comes back up. Using the breath as it gets challenging. If this is too hard to do with the weight, guess what? Do it without the weight. Don't have to have it. This first round, just doing 5 to each side, I can safely set that back down. Okay. From here, we're gonna just come down into the ground, and we're gonna establish a modified side plank. So bring the left hand to the ground, over the left shoulder, the right edge, the right leg is gonna go out, just how we had that side plank. From here, I wanna push that hip forward the best I can, focus on stacking the shoulders, now raise that right leg. This first round, we're just working on these little leg lifts. Use your breath and establish the top. 2 more. And hold it up top. Squeeze, 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 hold, 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 and come back down. So now you can just kind of shake it out. That idea of fast and loose in between rounds. So now my right hand's gonna come down, looking for those landmarks, always joint stacking, shoulder over wrist, knee underneath hip, ankle in line with knee, in line with wrist. Always line yourself up. Set this shoulder, raise that leg. I like to establish that stop point. Then where did I compensate through my core? 10 leg raises. Man, my hips are tight. I was just out in Colorado doing quite a bit of cycling and hiking. I've not been doing as much mobility and stability, and it shows. That's also why we're starting here. This frontal plane of motion is something that a lot of us lose, specifically if we've been running, biking, doing a lot of those other disciplines too much. Okay, staying in the side-to-side plane of motion, I'm actually gonna turn around so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So if you pull your elbows into your sides and into a W, right? My thumbs are to the back. This in itself helps us get it out of this posture. So can I pull those elbows into my hips? Can I squeeze my hips forward? From here, I'm gonna pull this right elbow into my right hip and then extend this left arm. And then pull it back. So again, I'm squeezing in as much as I can. Side bend, and then reach. Oh my goodness. So this gets your lats, your side body, your obliques. Really, really good for running. This is one of my, or for swimming. This is one of my favorite movement snacks to do throughout the course of the day when I just feel a little off, is these lat muscles, obliques, side muscles get really, really tight from sitting. So again, I'm almost pulling that into my hip, staying as tall as I can on my left hip, and then can I get that arm all the way long overhead? Just doing 3 to 5 of these. You can tell I'm breathing a little bit hard, laboring a little bit, getting used to that floor to heat. Okay, cool. Round 2, we're gonna come back to that Cossack squat. Again, we can do this loaded or unloaded. Excuse me. So if you're just doing it unloaded, this time we're gonna work on staying low and the idea of spreading the floor. So I'm pushing through the right edge of my right foot. I'm trying to push this left hip to get it outside my knee. If I square my shoulders, we can come right here. So I'll teach this with the arms up a lot of times. Excuse me, got a tickle in my throat. Okay, from here we got our kettlebell, bull by the horns, that gobble squat position. We have the wide base of support. You're gonna bring all that weight into your right hip. Now can you stay low and make that transition? Just doing 5 of those with a little bit of weight really challenges you. What I'm looking for when I'm coaching people on this is people will collapse right here. You want to maintain that shin torso angle as best as you can. You can eventually get all the way down there, but you can see if this knee is over my ankle, that's ankle flexibility, it's hip mobility, that's allowing me to get a lot of strength. It's allowing me to access what I totally have out of that hip joint. Okay, so we introduced that squat position earlier, right? And I'm cheating, I'm on my heels a little bit with this slope. But from here, we're gonna do what I call the superhero position. What that is the internal rotation. This right knee drops down and the right hand comes to the ground. Now you look like a superhero when they land. Okay, so bring this down and then you're gonna bring the right leg through. So your goal is just, can you find this side plank-like exercise? Then can you come back to the squat, right? Work on your squat. Work on your angles, use the superhero, internal rotation down, step back, establish. Ooh, sand to the face, that always feels good. And this is that same line of muscles that we were just working on stretching. Right knee pushing forward, hip nice and high. Can I return back to that squat again? So this is where I always ask the question, is this mobility, is this stability, is it strength? Dude, this is all the things. It's mobility because you have to have the range of motion. It's the stability because you got to make your body feel safe in this kind of unnatural position. And again, you can play, you can make it around. That's why we call it flow. What does your body need? Does it feel good to come into that forward fold? Make it your own, but you can see I'm getting a little bit deeper. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable as I'm going. So we're roughly gonna do 3 to 5 of these to each side is about as much as I do. And the next level is just adding that hip drop in. So if you're feeling good, that's what we call the panther. Again, return to that squat. Show me that you can do it. Internal rotation, superhero. Find that side planky position. That right arm's nice and long, my shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked. And if you got it, you drop that hip, but not at the sake of this right shoulder. Establish the plank back up top. Step back. We're gonna do 1 more to each side. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a different view. So here's my squat. I use that internal rotation. Left hand comes to the ground. Left leg spreads through. Can that left arm stay all the way long? Shoulders set, eyes looking up. I'm gonna drop that hip, and can you reach back and look over it? Look back at it. Be sexy with it. Get over that shoulder. Come back up. You can add a couple of those little drops in, or you can always return. Again, that's why we call it flow. I want you to feel comfortable making it your own. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm chasing my posture. I'm chasing my breath behind the movement. And what feels tight? Do I need to sit here and just feel that stretch? This right shoulder's wanting to pull in. Can I make sure that I get that line stretch? Awesome. Good. So that is your squat panther exercise. Okay. All right, so our next one is we're just gonna go with the kneeling press right here. So I like to use 2 hands to cheat cleaning into position. I can use 2 hands to cheat press it up. And again, just working on this press is a big thing for a lot of our multi-sport athletes here. So can I get that thumb to the back? Can this lat get as long as possible? Can I shake out my head and stay nice and still? So now, can you pull this left elbow into that hip and raise that right side? Can you see that motion? So it's a little bit of a side bend. It's how much can I lengthen the right side and move that hip with it? If you've got the strength, you can make it a press. If you don't have the strength for the press, just play with this motion. You're building up stability and you're building up core. And again, we have it kneeling so that your hips have to brace a little bit different. Your ankles don't have to, right? I'm getting fatigued, that's enough for me. Come back down. It's also why we prescribe rep ranges a lot of times is like 5 to 8. I'm really looking for time under tension as well as I'm looking for anything. So that cheat clean again, that left hand's gonna go underneath. I'm gonna grab that right hand, can literally grab it. Use both hands to help me get momentum to get up there. Whoop problems. Okay, get it there. Again, as tall as you can, posture is tight, glutes are pushed forward, tuck in those toes even if you can. I'll even brace with this right hand. You can press it or cheat press it up. And the first couple, just work on lengthening. And you can see I want to kind of rotate or where you want to compensate. So this is an exercise I also use so that I can determine where you're cheating, where you're compensating, where you leaking force. And this left hip, this left side body of mine is definitely an issue. It's kind of why I chose this exercise today, is to feel that little pull. Go, let's get 2 more of those. And if you got the press, let's add the press in there. Ooh. Keep breathing. 1 more. Oh my goodness. I like to shake that head out of there. Make sure I'm keeping that neck relaxed. Again, so the idea of the kneeling motions like that before I'm even asking you to press, so I just want to make sure this is all stable. It's warming up. You're giving your body, your motor skills, your system an opportunity to adapt. All right, we got 1 more round leading up to the crescendo. Grab the bull by the horns again. We got this wide base of support, narcotic squat. Bring all that weight down. And then can you externally rotate that foot a little bit? Ooh. Gosh, when I do that, it gives me just a little bit more through my hips. A little bit more through those inner thighs. Ooh, when I cheated, I came up on my ankle on that side. Again, I'm not quite doing my best. A little bit out of practice, a little bit sinking toward the water on a beach as I rotate back towards my board. Again, we're just looking for 3 to 5, trying to keep that chest up as tall as you can. I'm compensating, I'm cheating. I'm gonna chill out. All right, so that was our Cossack squat with the external rotation. Okay, the more advanced version of that squat panther now is now we're going a little bit faster. I'm in that squat, come down, drop the hip, come back to the squat. Establish your squat. Again, find your flow. Find that good side plank. Even if this is where you're at, start there. If this is hurting your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, that's 100% ask a coach. That means there's something going on. And it's not necessarily the workout that's going to injure you. It's an overuse pattern from something in your life. It could be from your job. It could be from your training. It could be from just the way you were built, from an old injury, right? Our bodies compensate, and the better an athlete you are, usually the better you compensate. So just flow back through this panther pattern, make it 100% your own. See, I'm even adding some of these reaches in here, just so I'm getting everything mobilized. And that's what we mean when we talk about training in 3 planes. I'm not just going straight ahead. I'm moving everywhere. Okay, we got 1 more exercise. All right, so our last exercise is called a windmill. So how we really warmed up that idea of pulling into our rib cage, creating that W position, right? That helps us get out of this position. So now that I've got this W, now I'm just gonna ask that you raise up overhead. So when we do this, can you move through your hips in the frontal plane and lift this side? Think about how that whole side body is getting long. So this is all we're asking you to do in level 1. Level 2 is, can you make it like that side lunge? Can you bump that hip that way? Once you show me that you can bump that hip that way, that's where you can make it a press. And now you're using that joint stacking to strengthen your whole side body. This is stuff that's gonna help you get stronger everywhere. So we're gonna cheat clean it using both hands. We're gonna cheat press it. I've got it in my right hand. And at first, level 1 is just, can you raise that right rib cage and take your eyes up at that weight? When you square back up, get your posture as good as you can. Don't wanna be all turned. Do you actually have the ability to hold this over your head? If this hurts your wrist, this hurts your neck, this hurts your shoulders, holler at me, holler at coach. Now you're gonna put all that weight into that right hip. Look, my upper body's still the same motion, and it's the same as that side lunge motion. If you've got the press, that's the next level. And this is just tying together everything we worked on today. And so we talk about setting your posture. We aimed all that mobility. Now we're adding stability and strength behind it. Good. So again, just showed you kind of the 3 levels. I do that almost every time. Can I earn it? Can I show that I've got that base level? Can I make sure I've got that stability before I level up? Sometimes I'm compensated, sometimes I'm cheated. Again, cheat pressing it up. Get up there the best that you can. First things first, just stay tall. Raise that left rib cage, bring that thumb to the back. Take your eyes at the bell. You can bring this right hand down the leg, another one of those be sexy cues, just helping you stay in that side-to-side plane of motion. Then when I'm ready, I can get my hip involved. All right, so now my lower body is mimicking that side lunge. I'm working on stacking shoulders, stacking hips. Can that hip really bump? If you got the press, you add that press in there. Another really good one is working out on your tight neck. Is if you hold it there, that thumb's to the back, can you take your eyes to the ground? Can you take them back up? That's a whole different stability system as well too. So it's cool. This is kind of an intermediate workout, but can be an advanced workout really quick. It could also be a basic workout really quick. Don't need to use the bell. You can use a dumbbell. You can do something light. You can just do your body weight and play with those motions. You can get it done. But this is what we talk about, unconventional training. Moving in different planes, building mobility and stability, give you the most stability. Let's go.